be told and your voices be heard. May you shine like the moon, fly like a bird on wings of liberation. We will rise when we listen to the heart and the ways of the wise. Ways of the wise, ways of the wise. On the flames of transformation, we will rise from out of the shadows and into the light. Into the light, into the light.
Good morning, everybody, and welcome to Unify Women Rising, and all of the other platforms that we are live on today. Good morning, good morning. I am Debbie G. I am here from Huntington Beach, and we have a very special surprise for you very, very shortly. It's amazing. But before we get started, let's introduce our gorgeous panel here today. Going on with Amber.
Hello there, everyone. So happy to be with you, to have this delicious, juicy conversation as they have all been, and to be present and available for what wants to come through.
Hi, everyone. I'm Miranda. I work with Unify and Center for Reinventing the Planet, and so happy to have Sue Lebeck here with us and Dr. Anita Sanchez as our guests, and Amma doing music for us today. Today, our focus is around upcoming Earth Day next week and climate action and what we're doing for the world and honoring the Indigenous and many juicy subjects for you today. Happy to be here with you.
Hey everybody, this is Rachel Morrison tuning in from Sunrise Ranch in Loveland, Colorado. It's really good to be with everyone this morning.
Hello, I'm Dr. Anita Sanchez, and I'm coming to you from the foothills of the Rocky Mountains in Boulder, Colorado, where I can just feel the ancestors who were here before and mine and all of yours where you're coming from just smiling because, of course, they knew each other.
Hi, I'm Sue Lebeck, and I come to you from Portland, Oregon, via 30 years in San Francisco, via many years other places, and via all the cities in the Cool City Challenge. I'm really, really honored to be here, and thank you for Miranda to inviting me in. Miranda and I work closely together.
And without further ado, Amma Grace.
We've come a long way this time, made home a place to be alive, painted our walls with our hands and our minds, open the one door, but I feel the tide rushing in, pulling us apart. We're changing like the ground beneath, no longer solid, calling us to breathe. Life will lead me onward from where I stand, guide me toward what I can't imagine. Maybe I'll find the rest of me here in my destiny. story. Carry your hearts with mine, unfolding. Nothing can ever be lost in our lives. We've been here before. We've been here before. We've been here before. 'Cause I feel the tide rushing in, pulling us apart. We're changing like the ground beneath, no longer solid, calling us to breathe. Life will lead me onward from where I stand, guide me toward what I can't imagine. Maybe I'll find the rest of me here in my destiny.
Yeah, so gorgeous.
Oh, that
So
was amazing. Amelie will be right back with us. She's just going to get her sound situated. And if we can all just put huge gratitude into the chat for her. Good morning, everybody. Good morning. We'll start with our introductions. We have an incredible lineup of guests today. I'm going to start with Miranda, who's going to introduce Sue.
hi. So we are gathering about Earth Day and climate action and honoring of Indigenous, because Earth Day happens next week on Friday, with thousands of events around the world, people cleaning up trash, people getting together. If you don't have an event you're tied to yet, go to earthday.org and check out the many thousands of events that are going on around the world. And if you don't see your city there, just put your name on there and say, I'm cleaning up trash, my city, come and join me, or something to love the planet, plant trees, anything. But that's why our subject is around this today. And I would like to introduce you to a beautiful coworker and amazing, amazing woman, Sue Lebeck. She's very humble, I'd say, in who she actually is and what she's helped create on the planet for the last 10 years. She's helped David Gershon and the Empowerment Institute with the creation of the Green Living Program, and then the Cool Block program, which was piloted in California to help reduce people's carbon footprint at a household level. I'll let Sue talk more about it, but we've gone to being an entire Cool City Challenge and getting an entire city on board with doing climate action now. And that just started in January. So Sue and I's lives have been quite overwhelming with trying to help these entire cities go forward with becoming carbon neutral by 2030. But that's why I wanted to have her on, because the story is so inspirational that entire cities, entire countries have declared climate emergencies now, which means that they're trying to go carbon neutral. Copenhagen by 2025, many countries by 2030 now, and ones that used to have it at 2050 have moved to 2040 at least now. So the world is trying to take this on. We know we need a change, and it is not something impossible. It is something that we're doing and that people are doing every single day. So Sue, tell us a little bit about you and what you do.
Hi, thank you, Miranda. What a great description. I really appreciate you teeing up the Cool City Challenge in that way. What to say? I want to say a few things about about myself and how I came into the Cool City Challenge, I want to say more about the challenge itself. And I want to say some things about the Empowerment Institute, which is the nonprofit organization that visualized the Cool City Challenge and has made it real. And I've had the pleasure to help the Empowerment Institute make it real. Let me first say just a couple things about myself that might relate to each of us, which is that I've had a very varied career. I've done a lot of different things, and first I started out in technology, and then I moved to psychology with a spiritual focus. I wasn't quite sure how to put these things together. I found my way into innovation management, but I wasn't that interested in what was passing as innovation. Didn't seem that important to me. And then I found sustainability-driven innovation to bring the planet back into balance. And I was just very, very excited by that. That is how I ended up finding the Cool City Challenge and stepped forward to say, how can I help? The thing about that story that might relate to all of us is that until I found the Cool City Challenge, I really didn't quite know where I was going. I had been lots of places, but they were dots that didn't seem to be connected. And so from a career standpoint, I'm like, well, what am I? And then I found the Cool City Challenge, and guess what? They needed me to be technical. They needed me to be psychologically savvy. They needed me to have a spiritual core and understanding. They needed me to understand the innovation process, and they needed me to understand sustainability. And so suddenly the dots were connected, the logic, the red thread was revealed, and I could see that I had been spending my whole life to do this. So I so loved Amber's song when she talked about finding the rest of me and my destiny. That's just so beautiful. And I imagine that, each of us has a storyline. The details are different for each of us, but all the things that we've been drawn to and all the things that have drawn us to them, that we have shown up for and given our gifts and attention to, leads us into the rest of us living in our destiny. So I just wanted to say that.
Thank you. Thank you so much. We are so grateful that you are here with us today. And Rachel, can you introduce Amelie? And then we are going to introduce a very special guest to you that we have today, Dr. Sanchez.
Heck yes, I can. Oh my goodness, you guys. I was like, okay, how do I introduce Amelie? And as the words that came to me that I'm really excited to share with you is that Amelie is a real life human. Like, there's no anything else other than the deepest, most visceral experience of the human experience. This woman is a channel, a portal of divine expression in human form, and has a way of understanding the human psyche, the spiritual experience, and our existence in purpose in a way that I've never seen before, as an artist, as a friend, as a mama, as an awesome co-creator in the world. So Amelie, please say a few words and bring it home with us, baby.
Oh my gosh, I love this. Wow, that really, honestly, that feels like the most accurate introduction I've ever had made of me. And I take it as a great compliment, because we're divine in our humanness, and I'm so glad to be on today with all of you incredible women on this day as we're celebrating Earth Day and our relationship to the earth, because I feel like what allows me to be this human that I am, that I've really deeply cultivated pretty immersively and dedicatedly over a long time, has come from the remembrance of being a part of the ecosystem. And part of my work is about really looking at the psyche as a living system and learning from living systems to see how can we coordinate our intelligence in ways that are coherent and actually tap into the emergent potential of our creativity. So that's kind of the center of my work. And I'm sure we'll get to go into more of the threads as we go in this conversation today. Thank you so much for having me.
It's such a pleasure to have you here. And thank you for sharing your magical music. It was incredible.
Well, and P.S. I could have listened to that concert.
Seriously, right?
And
Totally.
just been done with the
Freaking
show. I was
nuts.
like, what's next? Like, don't stop. Why are you off the screen? Don't leave.
That's what I was saying last night during sound check. You know, I mean, audience, I know you feel the same way. I'm just sitting there going, do you have to stop? Can you keep going? Just nah, it wasn't any good. You're gonna need to redo that for me, please. just I need a second. So everybody, we have somebody who's really neat. She was new to me, so I watched her TED Talk last night, Dr. Anita Sanchez, and I was taken aback just completely by the authentic voice that I heard, talking about things that are really hard to talk about, talking about the unforgivable, talking about things that I just sat there and went, I love you for giving a voice to that needs a voice. She is a is it Nahua? Is that right?
Nawa.
Nawa. I
Most
said it
people know
wrong.
it's Aztec, but it's Nawa.
Nawa and Mexican American, and has spent 4 decades weaving indigenous wisdom and modern science to support individuals in business and nonprofit leaders and their teams all over the world. And even more than that, but I'm actually going to hand it right over to you, Dr. Anita Sanchez, and let you share more about yourself with the audience.
Great. Thank you so much. It's wonderful to be here. I can't think of a better place with amazing women. We're all rising, and we know everyone who's tuned in, and the others who hopefully will listen later will be able to know that they have the support. I'm living my dream. I, as a little girl, as early as 3, and I still have this recurring dream that when I grow up, I was going to connect hearts. I drew the earth and all these stick people, different colors, but we had our hands on each other's heart. And I remember kindergarten, when I said what that was, my picture, the kids laughed. The teacher said, put away the crayons. But something happened. And I say this because I know everyone who's listening, who's watching, something has happened. And it's not just a waiting for, it's a remembering. It's all of it. And what happened for me is I felt not embarrassed as a 5-year-old. My feet went in the ground, my head went in the sky, and I just knew it was true. I just didn't know that meant, by age 16 going to college, by 21 working in Singapore, bringing women whose countries were at war with each other to discussions around peace and development. I didn't know it was going to end up with a PhD in organization development and then working for global corporations. But what I will say is that all the way through that process has been the indigenous wisdom that my grandmother and her grandmother and her grandmother imparted. And that wisdom I have woven into all the different certificates and things that I have to stay current, but bring that into everywhere. One of the key places I work are in business and major corporations, but also into communities and into homes, because it is time. And I know you all know that. And that's why I'm so excited about this discussion. So I just am happy to be here. And I hope by my just sharing my little story of living my dream, that is already, because I think this is one of the tools we all need to remember, that for us to face what is the challenges happening now, it means not to run away from it. But it does mean that we also, as we present to what is, also give presence to what is possible. And so I thank you all for allowing me to be here. I'm excited to bring and share the kinds of activities that I'm part of. It's the Pachamama Alliance in the permanent preservation of the Amazon rainforest, our work that we do, as well as in Pioneers. I'm on that board. And then all the things that I'm weaving into business and just the way of being and doing in life. And final thing, I just want to say, I loved your introduction to Amma, because part of my training, and early on, my uncle, I was very little, I remember hearing, our purpose in being here is to be a whole human being. And a whole human being means that we remember who we are and what we are, and we show up that way, knowing that we are relatives to all, not only two-leggeds, but to the winged, the creepy crawlies, the earth, the sky, and all of that. So I'm looking forward to our conversation. Thank you so much.
That's just beautiful. You know, we're going to just start having a beautiful conversation here. Audience, we love to see your comments. So throw them into the chat, please. Let us know your thoughts. But I'd really like to hear from Amber to start with today.
Okay, well, thank you for that invitation to share. There was so much that was just pinging in your share there, Anita. And I want to thank you just for your devotion for all of these years, for staying true to that dream that awoke inside of you of remembering who you are, what you came for, and being a unifying force. And there's so much resonance in all of that for me in my path. And, you know, one piece that I've been very present to in this organization that I'm the founder of, the Temple of Wholeness, is creating a vast ecosystem that really at the heart of it, part of it is about really restoring indigenous wisdom and marrying it with the best of innovation and technology, with the understanding that we must bring together that indigenous wisdom with the innovation so that the technologies that are being created are in alignment with the natural principles of life, right? That are generative, life-giving, you know, rather than what we've seen, and knowing that technology is a reflection of consciousness. So, right, we have to evolve our consciousness back into connection with the whole so that everything we're creating is an expression of that and thus brings us into closer contact with that. So the work that I do is all centered around supporting humans, individuals, to peel back the layers of enculturation and all of the various forms that's happened for us so that we can return to direct connection with the wholeness that has always been intact at the core. And from there, recognizing that the remembering comes from that place, and we remember how to create everything in accord with what is most true and aligned with life. Thank you.
That was beautiful. Thank you so much. I would like to know who's feeling led right now to share.
I was really touched by your description, Anita. I mean, it was bringing me back to when I was a kid too. I grew up way out in the country and have part Native American heritage, but no way to connect to it as a child. It wasn't until I was a teenager that I started begging my parents, where can we go? How can I get in touch with this? And I've spent a lot of time with people from the Lakota nations, Hopi Nation, many now, and it helps fulfill my soul. But I think I feel there are past lives, as you were saying, like past lives where I deeply honored and appreciated those lifetimes the most, because there was no separation from spirit and us, and from animals and nature and us. It was just all one from the day that you're born. Every breath, every drink of water that we have, every touch between each other, mother and baby, everything is all connected to spirit and all connected to each other. And in my religious experience growing up, it was not like that. There was pray to a God that's separate and just things that weren't fulfilling me in the same ways. And now I'm studying a lot about my Viking heritage as well, and some of the Scandinavian heritage. And there's a lot of the same things, some of the pagan wisdom, and some of the things there were such a deep honoring of being one with Earth and always honoring and asking her for her blessing. And are we doing enough, for you, Mother Earth and Great Spirit? Are we with you fully? And just so many ceremonies and the remembering of that and honoring that and never letting it be something that's separate. And as a kid, I felt that. I was always, getting snakes from outside and bringing them in my room, having jars of bugs, and just I wanted to be in nature all the time. And your dreams of that, and even envisioning a world where we're all holding hands someday and holding each other's hearts, and that's the only way humanity could ever be. Is just really touching me, your sharing of that.
Thank you so much. I just want to add, and then open other people too. It just makes me so happy. I'm just going to be really transparent here, because that's all we can be, right? As women, we need to be. We have to model that. Is that looking at you, I would see you initially, and Money would, as a white woman. And yeah, we're the four directions, different colors, different races. However, we all ultimately, that remembering, that reconnecting. And in fact, I'm very excited this summer because I'm going to, for the first time, spend time in their land with the Sami, the indigenous people from the white direction in northern Norway. And I'm looking forward to being in ceremony. So when you said that, I just said the universe provides, because we're all intimately interconnected with two-legged as well as everyone else. And the other piece I just want to say, I just love hearing that. I acknowledge you, I hear you, and I'm so glad you're in this universe sharing with others, because when we come from that place, no matter how hard it is, and I had a hard, maybe we'll get into some of the challenges we overcome to inspire others, but is that we're never alone, and we have everything we need, even when we're in economic poverty, even when we're facing with choices, when violence is happening, we are never alone. And that is such a powerful place to be, to come from, so that we can make it not only good for us, but for 7 generations to come.
Thank you.
Well, I have something just that sparked from this conversation that's occurring here, that I learned from a really wise woman, Annalou Smitzman, who said that when your body is sick, there's a part of the body that is not in the disease pattern. And I'm just thinking about wholeness, and how, we hear like we're already whole, like, in this paradigm where we've been born into this split, it's so hard to perceive that. And yet there is there are orders of reality that exist, that our wholeness is completely intact. And yet I feel like in my journey, I have fought against the split so much. And I'm starting to learn that there's a deeper purpose to duality. Because, of course, it's a natural thing, polarity. We have the sunrise and the sunset. It is such a natural thing. And when I start to go to that edge where I've put things in the category of not okay, or don't be like that, or disowning parts of myself, that there's really this opportunity that I'm starting to more and more perceive and experience, to come into a new sense of wholeness as I make relations to these parts. So much of what I experience is in this whole making is coming into right relationship with that which we've turned away from. And in that, there's this new wholeness and so much beautiful intricacy to that process. So I'll just drop that into our space.
Go ahead, Sue. It looks like you want to speak. But
you know what that brings up for me, Emily, and actually each thing that's been said is making me want to share. I'm going to say something that we'll recognize as being silly, and perhaps we'll also recognize as being right. That really is radical. And that is, and Miranda knows this well, the Cool City Challenge, has an audacious goal of cities becoming carbon neutral by 2030, which is 8 years away, not 2050 when other people are in charge, but right now when we are. And that will involve technology and policy and all the things. But the missing piece that everyone's starting to wake up to is the community being hand to glove in a city with all of the other systems. And so the first piece of a cool city is to engage hundreds of cool blocks. Here's the radical part. Cool Block is a program that you do on a team. There's an online thing. There's actions you can pick and recipes. That's not radical. That exists, and many people have done a really good job of that. The radical part is Cool Block has to happen at home, not just in your cell, but in your household, and not just in your household, but on your block. Your block is your home. Your neighborhood is your home. Your city is your home. In our virtual world, we're very global. Home is global, but we're still not really connected to planet, but home is global. This brings it all right back to the people you wake up with, to the people outside your front door. And the only people you can invite into your team are your neighbors. And not only are they the only people, you need to invite every single one of them. So you go knocking on doors and saying right away, I'm your neighbor, I live right there. I'm not here selling something, and inviting them into your home to learn about this so that they hear it with each other, with their neighbors, and then step into it. It's so, Miranda, this will sound like a quote from David on one of our videos. It's so simple and so profound. And it's also really scary to people. It's like, well, I don't talk to, I have huge networks of people, but not the people next door. And that's a little too close. That's a little vulnerable. And I maybe don't like my neighbor. We maybe even have some issues about our boundaries or whatever. So anyway, Amma, you were talking about these false disconnections inside of ourselves, but also right outside of ourselves. We leap to the global and we don't go hand in hand, hand on heart, like you described, Anita. So that's the secret sauce of the Cool City Challenge.
There's something happening right now where I feel like every woman's avatar on this screen is coming in with a very unique message for a very specific time that's reaching a very unique group of people out there in this newest sphere that we're all a part of. On an auspicious day, in between, let's say, the rebirth or resurrection of new life, as we lean into a celebration in the coming days of the greatest mother of all. That is undoubtedly not just a mother, because to be the greatest mother, you also have to be the greatest lover. And so, my dear ones out there on this day, listening to this message, I ask you, how are you coming into right relationship with the great lovership that is this life existence coming through you in this moment? I'd like to hear it in the chat. And also continue the conversation with everybody here. And just make this unique mind shift. A good friend of mine, Becca Tigini, she's an amazing Aboriginal sister. She sent me this website. There was this comment that was made there that was spectacular. And it said something to the effect of, somewhere along the line, we chose to commodify life and the resources of this planet rather than honor its true value that it gives us, and come not just into right relationship, but sacred relationship with all of life once again. And when we do that, when we treat ourselves like someone we love, and when we treat this planet like someone we love, we always give the best. We always provide whatever we have into that being, whether it's a lover relationship or a child. Recently, I had a child that was not feeling too well, and I poured everything into that being so that things could get shifted in the right direction again. And then as like the healing process happened, I remained vigilant, like pristinely vigilant, doing the research, making sure the nutrients and like everything was like falling back into place. And this mother that we have is quite ancient. And when an ancient parent of ours is even feeling just a little bit ill, we show up for that parent or for that elder in our space that we've been so grateful for. So, folks, let's show up just a little bit more. I want to for the great elder that is this planet that we are all co-stewarding together. And I want to learn more ways, not other ways, but more ways that I can be of service to her. And she's whispering to us. She is whispering. And the question I ask myself often is, do I have the patience to hear, to listen back, and then to move with the dance? There's something that was in Amelie's music that was like that dance, or it was just like intuitive. Something was kind of like a cauldron inside of me. And when we can tune into those vibrations of life, we don't just become communities, which is so needed. We become a living organism together that is in union with all of life. That's just what I'm thinking about right now. So,
You know, Rachel, there's just this way that you bring it home every single time, and it's just extraordinary. I want to recognize the audience you're doing, and you're just so spectacular. I love your comments and seeing you chime in and share. I'm sitting here just appreciating each one of you for the beauty that you bring, for the recognition of our planet. I love trees. I just love trees. Anybody else just love trees? Seriously. And if just to look at the beauty of they're so incredible to go up and just touch them. Imagine if you could just see the energy flowing, breath in, breath out, you know, it's such a magnificent space to just be with the trees. You know, I used to think tree huggers, why are they hugging the tree? Really? They're hugging a tree because the energy that's flowing up from Mother Earth. When you put your feet into the grass and you're just standing there, you take a deep breath in and you reconnect with that from which you came. You just reconnect. Take a moment. This time right now is calling for us all to reconnect. And each person here has said that in their own beautiful way. So it's that reconnection. Reconnect to you. Rachel said how loving yourself, loving others, loving this planet. It's really not that difficult, honestly. It's really not. To step out of ourself and into service for others, but to step into service for Gaia, step into service. What can you do? What can you do in your own space? As Sue was talking about with cool blocks, what can you do to create, to bring forward the magnificence that you are for the planet? What are you doing to improve every day? Because that's one thing I do know. Today we're doing the best we can with what we've got. We only know what we know until we know differently. So every day I look to improve. And that's what this show is about. What kind of tools that we have to improve. So I'd like to step into those tools for everybody here. We have 20 minutes left. And what kind of tools can we share on this beautiful topic about how that we are embracing the sacredness of the planet, but the sacredness of our feminine, the divine feminine, and embracing that and integrating that. And what tools can we give our audience so that they can take it forward today and this weekend, as Rachel so eloquently stated, this rebirth. Happy Easter, everybody, by the way, if you celebrate it.
Yes. Happy Easter, happy Passover, happy Mother, Grandmother, Earth Day, all of it, right? I'd love to jump in with a few tools because I just love hearing all of you. So 2 things. I'm going to share some, they're both end up being tools, but one of them was we were always told as Indigenous people, prophecy, not foretelling the future, but say what would possibly happen if we do or do not obey the original instruction, which the original instruction very simply is to care and love self and others, all beings. And so the response to that from Spirit was, when we heard these horrible things coming, the time the trees will be dying, the oceans and the species will, and what we constantly were told from different nations, Indigenous nations around the world, the response was, do your dance, sing your song, do your ceremonies, be in community. And I remember as a young person, I was really like, well, that's great, but that's not enough. But when you look at that in a deeper way, and which is what the question, Rachel, and others where you were asking people to answer, then you realize that it's not all external doing. We have to be about it. It's very urgent, but it's how we're being. And so the other gift I want to leave you with is that this time that we're in is prophesized, many different prophecies around the world by Indigenous people. One of the prophecies I carry is the eagle hoop prophecy. And I'm not going to get into detail. You have the link there. You can go to foursackgifts.com to link more. But I want to say what the 4 gifts are. What Spirit said, in order for us to remember how to be in right relationship, in harmony and balance with ourselves and all in members of the Hoop of Life, is to use these 4 gifts. So just listen with the softest part of your ears and expanding heart. The first gift is the gift of the power to forgive the unforgivable. The gift of the power to forgive the unforgivable. Put that in the ceremonial part of your heart, and it's already, you're starting to realize all the things you've forgiven and something popping up that needs attending to. Take a breath. The second gift for all of us to bring in right relationship, to bring harmony and balance, is the gift of the power of healing. Put that in the ceremonial part of your heart. Every day it's another time to heal. And as we heal ourselves, we heal others, we heal the planet, it's such a beautiful gift. Take a breath. The third gift put in there for what we can do to bring this harmony and balance in ourselves and others is the gift of the power of unity. That's what we're doing right here. Those of you who've come in, is to know that this is not about a lone wolf time. This Indigenous people are really clear. We're in the eagle, everything coming together. We're all bringing our medicine. Everyone has medicine. It's bringing that together. So that unity, where are you in unity? What are those communities like Sue was talking about? Tap into further. It's not just about me, it's about we. And me's not going to get lost in the we. You're part of it, right? So it's expanded out the way energy is. And then fourth and final gift, a tool that you can use every day, is the gift of the power of hope in action. And just breathe that in and put that in the ceremonial part of your heart. And we all know, even in this darkest, with the war, with healing stuff, the challenges that we're facing, whatever it is that there is an energy source, a knowing beyond just what we're present to. And that we can keep alive through dreaming, through conversations, through shifting the narrative to not dismissing or doing I'm talking about spiritual bypass. I'm talking about true sacred spirituality, which means you're present to what is, and also hearing, listening to the call of what can be. So hopefully those will help us kick us off with some of the tools and gifts that have worked in my life and done great for someone who sounds amazing, looks amazing. I'll just say that. But my early beginnings, people wouldn't think that. I'm 9 years of childhood abuse, sexual abuse. Murder of my father, which was racially related at 13. Any one of those things, I've had psychiatrists and people say, well, you should be dead. And I'm thinking, no, at 14, no, don't say that. You might feel desperate, depressed, those of you, whatever, but it's not that. Instead, it's like, here's a reason you're here. And the challenge you're facing, you get to use those to shift to know and bring compassion and love in the deeper way. So just thank you for letting me offer some tools. And I, forsacredgifts.com, and I'm going to click where you could join me if you're so called to go to the Amazon. I'm going back after 3 years of not being there. I'm leading a special trip for the Pachamama Alliance, and I'll let you see where that is. And if you feel called, I would love to have you join us.
I would love to join you there and going.
Yes, I would love for you. The link is there. I just clicked it into the chat.
Yeah, and going to Norway with you. Both.
Yeah.
Oh,
Both
my
and.
goodness.
Brenda, you know I got to do that.
Yeah, I know. We're gonna have to jump on this. And
Both and there's a very special village in the Amazon, about 400 miles out of Quito. It's the village of the women of the water. They're next level. It's just gonna go.
Oh, this is seriously like, this is just absolutely juicy, yummy information coming forward. But I have to tell you that the vulnerability and authenticity of Dr. Anita Sanchez just absolutely rocks my world. You bring such a comfort in sharing things that are difficult, and I, for one, am just in so much appreciation of everything that you bring forward. Thank you. I'm curious. We haven't heard a lot from Amber or Sue or Amma. What's going on?
I was about to speak when Anita jumped in and shared so beautifully, and I'd actually love to pull on some of the threads of what Rachel shared and Anita shared, as I was inspired to after Rachel sharing. And then your prompt, Debbie, about practices. So I have this relationship, have cultivated this relationship with life and with the mother, with the earth, as one of being a lover, where I experience this incredible love affair, and she has tuned me into that connection. It's really what has, for me, stripped away the layers of all of the trauma, similar experiences I went through, Anita, like incredible amount of abuse and challenging circumstances that I fortunately never became a victim of. I used everything to fuel my own growth and evolution, and to get closer and closer to that true signal of my own soul's essence and how that expresses in this world, and offering my life in service to whatever way that could possibly express through me, in service to others, to the earth, to anything that I could come in contact with. And 14 years of living in Hawaii, I would go for these long walks on the beach in nature. And as I would walk, she would just begin to rise up and through me and inform me. And one practice I'd love to offer that's very, very simple is just to take a walk in nature. It's very slow, where with bare feet on the earth, ideally, we can really feel the earth, and inviting each step to be like a kiss. So as each footstep touches the earth, that you're kissing the earth. And so first, just connecting with that, acknowledging ourselves as each as a cell in the greater body of Gaia herself, expressing here. And then as we breathe, to connect with the field around us, and experiencing life exchanging with itself, through us, as us, through the breath. So as I would inhale, I'd be aware that I'm inhaling the essence and the exhale of all of the trees and the plants around me, that they exhale what I require to inhale. And then as I'd exhale, offering the gift of my soul's essence to all of the space around me, and then realizing the trees are inhaling what I'm exhaling. So it's embedded within nature itself, these cycles of exchange. And so to just come into deeper contact with that, to slow down, to allow our senses to ignite and perceive the more subtle information streams that are always available when we slow down beneath the speed and the stress that most people operate under, that kills those finer senses. I find in that space that everything we need that is already embedded within the seed of our soul gets activated. It comes online, and then we're naturally inspired to take action in the ways that we're each uniquely designed to within this greater whole of what's unfolding, of how we can care for, first and foremost, for our bodies as an extension of Gaia, to care for our families as an extension of that, to care for our homes, and then we can expand into broader circles from there. But to really, as a point was made from Sue earlier, we have to first bring it back. And for me, it's first our own self and our own body, to come into right relationship, to honor it as an expression of life itself, and then again to spread the concentric circles out to how we can care for life.
Amber, you just described perfectly what I wanted to say on the heels of something Debbie said earlier about this relationship with the trees, the tree hugging, and you stepped into the science of it. Miranda and I spoke of carbon neutral by 2030. What does that even mean? And you described it, Amber. Basically, carbon is not the enemy. Carbon is life. There is no life without carbon. We are made of carbon. But the carbon cycle, you said the word cycle, is off. And it's because between humans, animals, and all of this fossilized carbon that we blow into the atmosphere so fast every day, we are breathing out, and the trees are breathing in what we breathe out. The oceans are breathing in what we breathe out, but we are breathing out too much, and we're destroying the forests and the oceans, so they can't breathe in as much as they used to. This is the scientific right relationship that you described it, Amber, and you came at it from a love place, Debbie, earlier. That is the fundamental thing, that carbon neutrality is about getting back into balance. So it takes a lot of wonky shapes and kind of boring, but it comes down to that. That's what it's about.
We're about to wrap up. We have about 3 minutes left. And I would say a big issue of this, Sue and I see humanity struggling in paralysis a lot. And Dr. Anita was talking about the first power is forgiveness. And it did make me emotional, because when I think about our planet and what's going on and what humanity has to do right now, it does take a lot of forgiveness for ourselves for not knowing what all this technology would do, or for knowing and doing polluting anyway, or all the different things. But it's all about forgive, start now, let that go, and take the steps towards the future of whatever you need to do. For everybody personally, it's different for everyone. But we talked about with Unify for Earth Day, we've been working so hard, so many of us, and for Earth Day we were saying, let's do our Unify global meditation just laying on the ground, face down, and hugging our earth, or grab a tree and hug the tree. So I think things are heading in that direction, that we are going to be doing that type of meditation on Earth Day this Friday. So join us for that. There are earthday.org is joining us. Fridays for a Future, Greta Thunberg's organization, Earth Gratitude, the Dalai Lama, many, many others, and many, many women. Unify, our biggest audience, almost 70% are women, women activists, women who are tapped into their spirituality, to our humanity as a family. And I'm going to take those powers that you talked about, Anita, and bring them into meditation and feel everything I need to feel, starting with forgiveness and gratitude and blessing, and going into hope and inspiration and connection and unity and what we're all here for. But thank you everyone for joining the show, and we love you, and we'll see you next week.
We're almost there. We're almost there. We have Amma who wants to share something.
Oh, yay.
Yes, just to weave in here, and I hope it's okay that we're taking the time to do so. Just there's been some beautiful threads on just how we serve and come into service through connection to our intrinsic purpose, that every living entity has an intrinsic purpose. And we don't have to have the vision for the whole thing and figure out the whole, like, what's this whole planet? Literally inside of the body, the cell doesn't need to know the ultimate goal of the system. It just needs to be exquisitely attuned to its neighbor and respond to the signals that it receives within its own clear feedback mechanism. Blood vessels don't need the blueprint of the whole body. They just need to be in right relationship to their community. So we're coming into this, it's weaving so many of the things that have been spoken here. And in this planetary phase shift, during phase shifts and massive upsurge, there's needed massive upsurges in cooperation. And one of the biggest crucial success factors to cooperation is increasing levels of integration, which is a state of unity and differentiation, different parts being linked in the system. This is what I'm devoting my whole work to, and I would love for you to explore some of the things that I'm doing. I'm opening up a course here called Living Symbol, which is all about actually coordinating our archetypal parts of ourself and bringing them into the integrated intelligence of our being. And so I'm just wanting to end here saying that when we pass through chaos windows and we go through a phase shift, there is an influx of imaginal consciousness that we open up to. And one of the practices that I do is connect to the local pattern, the thing that I do. I overthink things too much. Okay, I'm going to actually move my chair over. I'm going to go into the part of me that thinks too much, give it a voice, let it talk, tell me about what it's important to it, and then come back to a center seat where I'm no longer being that self. We are not our patterns. We are opening up to something more to come through. And then just to finish, as I go to the other side and I go to my right brain and go to some opposite part, be in the local environment of being in the open field of all this stuff, but not really having a structure, whatever it may be, and then move back to the center, feel myself sitting inside the tension of opposites, not being any one thing, but able to actually hold and coordinate the energies that are operating inside of the system. So I just wanted to give you a little taste of what I do, but also a tool that I find super helpful. And I can do that in a journaling practice and just feel into the center conductor seat of opening to that relationship that Amber was so beautifully speaking to, becoming a vessel of the energies of life.
Thank you so much, Amelie.
Yeah.
We are at the top of the hour, everybody, and I want to close us with, we are all part of this beautiful healing matrix from Corey Harbin, who is one of our viewers right now. And thank you, everybody. Happy Easter. It has been a beautiful moment in time with all of you.